Welcome to From Chaos to Clarity, hosted by STG. We are here today with Dr. Ken Napton. Dr. Napton is a seasoned CIO technology executive, author, and speaker with over 30 years of experience leading digital transformation, cybersecurity, and enterprise IT strategy across multiple industries. He currently serves as CIO for Win Brands and is known for helping organizations turn complex technology challenges into real business outcomes. He's also an author, and his latest book, Unveiling Tech Debt, is where he breaks down one of the biggest hidden barriers to innovation and growth. With deep expertise and a practical leadership perspective, we are really excited to have Dr. Napton with us today. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Excited to have the conversation.
Yeah. So today our conversation is going to be around AI chaos versus AI ROI. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously it's a big topic right now because AI is everywhere and it's only exponentially growing. One of the things that we're finding with a lot of our clients at STG is everyone's being told that AI is a must-have, which it is. You've got to be in it. But a lot of teams are not talking about, and they're not seeing meaningful ROI. And there's a huge gap between expectation and reality right now. I think it was Gartner that just came out saying that only 85% of AI projects fail to meet expectations, which is huge for organizations. So in your experience and from your perspective, is this a technology problem or is it an execution problem or maybe both? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. And you're right. This idea that if you're not doing something with AI, you're getting behind, right? All your competitors are going to outpace you if you're not jumping on that bandwagon. And there's a lot of truth to that. And so I think that's from the business side, from the strategy side, that's where all of the pressure is coming. We have to do something with AI, right? So I think there's multiple reasons that we're not seeing as much ROI yet. And I do think it's coming. But I think every company is different. A lot of companies are starting with the wrong question, right? They're answering the question of where can we implement AI as opposed to what are the business problems that we have that AI can help us solve?
Yeah.
Right. And so they're so anxious to just do something that they're just, going wherever they can, to pointing it wherever they can, and not necessarily having a good strategy, having a good thought behind it. And so, whether it's AI or not, when you approach something in that way, you're not going to find the best ROI, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a solution searching for a problem as opposed to, the other way around. So I think that's one. I think another challenge is that a lot of companies are starting with just the small things, right? And so they're looking at, probably the most common initial AI implementation is a chatbot.
Yeah.
Right. Throw a chatbot on the website, and and now we can say we're doing AI, and as a initial step, it's a good way to get some experience with AI and figure out how it works and how it deals with your data and all that stuff. But that's not going to be a high ROI project, right? So I think there's those types of things that are going on. The other issue that I think is a little more near and dear to my heart, I think that as companies start to implement AI solutions, even if it is just a chatbot, one of the first things they come to realize is that their data aren't ready for AI, right? And that's tech debt, right? Yeah. They have all of this information, maybe data sprawl, maybe data hoarding, maybe it's just unclean data. Maybe they just haven't maintained it. And the way that you're going to get value from AI is not by taking something that's looking at the industry or looking at all the data that's out in the world. It's looking at your data, right? AI has to look at your financials, at your revenue, at your customer support, your product knowledge. And if your data isn't ready for that, it's not clean,
Yeah.
you're not going to see the ROI yet. You're going to have to spend a lot of time cleaning that up first. So I think there's various reasons why.
Yeah.
But I think they're all solvable.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think your point you just made about the data not being clean data, as you were saying that, I was thinking, it's if you go to a brand new employee and say, I really want you to explain the ins and outs of this business, they're not going to be able to do that, right? They're going to give you high level, and they're going to miss things because they're new and they don't understand. If you go talk to the CEO, you're going to get exactly what's happening, all the information. And I think that sometimes is how we're putting data in. We're letting data that's not, it doesn't have everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's too high level, or it doesn't have enough depth, and then we're trusting the AI output from that kind of data, and that's a dangerous thing, right? There are levels of data. There are, and I don't think people necessarily are thinking about that going into it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think an AI solution will get up to speed, so to speak, much faster than a human being, right? That's the purpose of AI. Is it just consumes information. It consumes data, turns it into information much faster than a human being would. But you're absolutely right. We're expecting AI to kind of get up to speed immediately on our entire organization, but maybe we're only giving access to a slice of the data, right? And that's where I talk about data hoarding, or I'm sorry, data sprawl. If you think about a regular organization and where does all of their data reside, and if you haven't determined a single source of truth for each data element or each data type, here's our customer data, this is our financial data. People run their own reports and put information on their desktop. They'll create their own spreadsheet and then modify that information, and maybe they're running their part of the business off of this piece of data that isn't where you've pointed your AI, right? And so here you have information over here that's being used to operate the business, but the AI hasn't been given access to that or doesn't know it's there. The AI solution is not going to be giving you the answers then that individual would be, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So data sprawl is again, you have to not just have clean data, but you have to make sure you know where does the data reside that people are making decisions from, business decisions for this part of the business.
Yeah.
Right?
And that goes back to the point you made earlier about the prep work before you begin utilizing AI. I think a lot of times, and I know a lot of organizations we've talked to, they just feel like I have to jump on this bandwagon. I got to get in, and you do.
Yeah.
So they jump and they, leap before they look, and they
That's
just
right.
go. And then it's much harder to back out of that than to stop and be really thoughtful and intentional before you go into it and think, what are we trying to solve here? And do we have all the information? Do we have all the data before we begin this project? And do we have the right people involved in that AI project as well?
Yeah, that's right. These are just common IT problems, right? We've seen these even before AI, that organizations will start down a certain path and, hey, we don't have to involve IT yet. We're not to that point yet, right? We got to wait until we get all of these decisions made before we involve IT. And unfortunately, AI is being implemented the same way in a lot of organizations where, the finance department or the marketing department or whomever will kind of start implementing something because they have access to generative AI and they can ask it questions, or they have access to other solutions that they can just implement. And if they're not involving the right people, specifically the IT, the data engineers, the people who know where the data reside, then they're not going to be getting the answers that they need.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to be getting the quality. And that's where, the ROI is not going to show up. And one other thing that as you were talking, I was thinking that, one of the other challenges is that if in the rush to implement AI, if we're not looking at the full amount of information, we pointed at just a specific set of data, and then that information comes out that's not an accurate answer, but the executives look at it and they say, oh, look, we thought there was a problem here. We thought that this team wasn't performing or whatever, right? They're getting information now that's not holistic, but because it's coming from AI, the machine bias kicks in, and the executive is like, oh, well, look, we do have a problem. And then they start making business decisions on that.
Yes.
And come to the realization at some point down the road that, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't necessarily the right path to be going down, right? So implementing AI up front it's really, really important to ensure that you have the right foundation before you start implementing, making business decisions. Right?
Yeah.
And they talk about that all the time with AI, right? You hear all these stories about lawyers who submit, their briefs with incorrect, citations and things because they didn't look at the source. It's the same thing in business. You don't want to be making business decisions from the AI until you've actually validated that information. Don't let the confirmation bias kick in and the machine bias kick in. Right?
Which I think is huge, and we hear that a ton, in that people are treating AI like it's the oracle.
Yeah.
And it knows everything. It's smarter than everyone. It can do everything. And really, it's incredibly, it can adapt and learn, and to your point, iterate on things so much faster than a human can, obviously. Yeah. But it's only as good as the input we're giving it. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that those things shouldn't be checked, right? Like I would never, ever deploy something, right, in a development perspective that hasn't been validated or checked. But people are just sending, like we're just trusting AI, like, well, AI said we should do this, so we're going to do it.
Especially when the confirmation bias kicks in, right? If you're already thinking that, hey, we have a problem in this part of our business, or that we're a problem with this organization or whatever, the AI confirms that, which generative AI is designed to confirm your biases, right? It's designed to make you feel good, to give you what you want. I think you bring up a great point that prior to the whole AI discussion, we would never, I wouldn't say never. Most companies that operate well wouldn't just put something into production without multiple sets of eyes on that, new system or new data or whatever it might be. But again, machine bias, confirmation bias, right? They all kind of take over. Yeah. And again, it's this urgency. Well, we have to get AI in place. Our competitors are doing this. We're not. We've got to move fast. And that's just a perfect storm for a very poor implementation that is not going to give you what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me, in order to drive a car, you need gas and brakes. And so if you're being only gas,
that's right.
somebody needs to be that we don't want to crash. So you do need to you need to be thoughtful and intentional about what you're doing, because it is really dangerous to go in and get incorrect information and make decisions. And what's frightening, I think, for us to watch is that very fact that you talked about, in that it is designed to confirm what we think. Yeah. And you have to actually really be firm with AI and say, I want you to disagree with me if this is, push back. And it really takes a minute for it to actually do that, because it's designed to tell you, that's such a great idea. That's wonderful.
Right. Aren't you smart?
Yes. And you're like, thank you.
That's right.
And we like that as humans, to be, have someone stroke your ego, even if it's an inanimate object. So it's really important for us, I think, to as leaders to stop and say, okay, is the data correct?
Right.
Are we just getting a confirmation bias from AI into what we think? Because whether or not you intentionally do it, you put your own bias into it when you're prompting it as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it can tell if I'm leaning a certain direction, right? Like it will latch onto that. Yes, 100% you're correct on that. And you want that differing ideas and opinions. And that's why that human-centered approach to AI is so important, to make sure that there are humans that are interacting and that you're listening to the humans in the room, as well as leaning on the great, wonderful aspects of AI that can really help us.
Yeah, the more we talk about this, the more I just it confirms for me. Hopefully, it's not my confirmation bias. It confirms for me that these are all just the same problems we've dealt with forever, right? There are leaders who look for yes people, right? Yeah. And they don't get to the best answer. They don't get really where they're trying to go because they have people just telling them yes all the time, even without AI.
Yeah.
It's just now AI just accelerates that. It just makes it a bigger issue, right? Because now you have the machine bias that kicks in as well. Yeah. So these are all just the same problems we've dealt with humans. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that AI accelerates it. We can just move so much faster. And unfortunately, we can move faster in the wrong direction if we're not careful.
We've often, we say here at STG all the time, that technology is an accelerator. It either accelerates growth or chaos, and it's really up to you. And I think AI is an exponential accelerator. Yeah. And so to your point, it will accelerate things rapidly, and it can be in a negative way, right? Or it can be in a hugely positive way. I mean, we've seen organizations implement it, and it's incredible what it can do for productivity and innovation and all sorts of things like that. Things you would never have dreamed you could do, you can do now. Yeah. But it's only if you are going about it the right way.
Yeah. Well, and I think it exposes things, right? AI will expose. You can if you're moving in the right direction, right? If things are set up right, your data's right, your people are right, your processes are right, then AI can accelerate your work in that direction, and it can expose the fact that, hey, you have solid processes in place. If you don't, it can expose where those gaps are, right? And so I think AI is an accelerator, and it's also, it shines the light in those dark corners that maybe, the rocks you haven't looked under for a while.
Yeah, so. For sure. Yeah. And I think that's, for companies to have that in mind as they go into projects, and not just, I recently talked to one organization and very, very large organization, and they're like, no, everyone will use AI, but they were very prescriptive in how they wanted their employees to do that. And they were saying, you will use it in this particular way, and it's not effective for the employees. Mm-hmm. And it's actually costing them more time, where the employees themselves are like, I can see X, Y, and Z over here that would be incredibly useful for me. But they're actually being monitored on the use, right? Because they're like, we need to see the ROI on this. So we're monitoring how often you're using it in this very prescriptive way. Yeah. And it's so frustrating for the employees who are like, this is not doing anything for us. And then the leaders are being frustrated because they're like, I'm not seeing the benefits, and we're monitoring it, and we're doing all of these things. Right. And you're like, it's because you don't understand, first of all, the needs of your people. You're not being intentional in how you're in what you're trying to actually solve. And it's just creating, to your point, a mess. It's creating a mess.
Yeah, I feel like being too prescriptive in its use is just not, that's just not the way to approach it. It's just not the way that you're going to get the productivity that you're looking for. Yeah. The old saying, right? The beatings will continue until morale improves. That's kind of what it feels like to me. Yes. It's like, give people a great tool, and then don't allow them to be creative in how they use it.
Yeah.
right? It just doesn't make any sense. You hire smart people, let them be smart.
Yeah.
Give them a smart tool and let them use it the way that they want to use it to improve their job, to make their job easier.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being overly prescriptive is not a smart way to go.
Yeah, for sure. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk to other people about how they're using it, because all the time people say, "Oh, I did this with it the other day," and I'm like, I would never in a million years have thought about using it in that way. And it's because it's such a great tool, and people are very creative with new ways to make their lives easier and better and their jobs more efficient. So you should allow people to be creative with it.
Yeah. And again, this just comes right back to these are the same problems we've had forever. People on the front lines, they know the problems that they face. They know the hurdles. They know the roadblocks that are in their way. People that are 2, 3, 4 layers removed from them don't necessarily know those details. So again, whether we're talking about AI or not, you shouldn't have executives telling people on the front line, this is how you're going to do it. Tell them what they need to do. Tell them with a strategy, but let them be creative and give them a great tool. Don't restrict how they use it. We want to make sure that with AI specifically, we're being careful from a cybersecurity perspective. We have to put the guardrails around it.
Yep.
But other than that, let them use it the way they need to be more productive in their job, and don't think you know how to do their job better than they do.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's good counsel.
yeah.
So what do you think a good AI strategy looks like for executives or directors, leaders who are trying to implement this?
Yeah, I think as with anything, it has to start with what is the problem you're trying to solve, right? Again, too many people I think right now are coming at it from the perspective of where can we use AI? And you may start down the path of saying, we want to make sure we're not getting behind our competitors, so we want to make sure we use AI. What are the business problems we can solve? You may end up finding a business problem that you solve without AI. Mm-hmm. You're still solving a business problem, right? So you have to start from the perspective of what are the business problems? Where's the friction? Mm-hmm. Right? I feel as a CIO, I'm often saying that my job is to remove friction. That's what we do. We remove friction from employee interactions, from customer interactions, right? That's what we do. And again, AI, I think, can help accelerate that, can help remove that friction faster. It can help remove more friction. But we have to know what the problem is we're trying to solve. So I think that's where your strategy starts, is as a business, where are we trying to go, and where can we accelerate, our path. And then you let the people on the front lines figure out, well, is AI going to help us with that or not?
Yeah.
Right? Because again, maybe it's a process problem that you don't need AI to solve it. You just have to stop having this person, look at this screen and manually type information over here, right? You can solve that, a different way, right? So I think a good AI strategy starts with the business problem, as does anything, right? Any strategy starts there.
Yeah. And I think that's what we've talked about several times now, is the good advice is this is no different than anything you've been doing, right, so far.
Yeah, that's right.
You need to approach it as AI is another person in the room to help you, but you can't shift from the way you've always done. Good business practices, right? Just this is the same process you've already been through, even though it is it's an incredibly intelligent tool, to give it a human term, but it is quick, it can help, it can iterate, it can do all of that very quickly, but we can't throw our business processes away that are tried and true and good and all of that just because it's a new tool that we think is really smart and can solve all the problems, right? We can't throw that all out.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's this really strange dichotomy, because on the one hand, we're looking at this incredible like wave that's flowing through the whole IT industry about this incredible new technology that's going to have such a huge impact on the way that we do things, and it's going to be this just transformative, for our business, right? Technology, and that's not incorrect. That is right. This is a huge shift. But the flip side of that coin is AI is not going to change fundamentally how we do business. I did a webinar just I think it was the day before yesterday, specifically on cybersecurity and AI, and I just kept reiterating AI has not fundamentally changed anything that cyber criminals are doing and that the cybersecurity industry is doing. It hasn't fundamentally changed any of the cybersecurity practices. It's just accelerating, right? It's making it's we're moving a lot faster, but all of the same things apply, all the same rules. And just like it does with cybersecurity, the same thing applies to business practices. Yeah. And so how do you help executives understand that, yes, there's this huge wave that's coming that's transformative, but it really just means that we have to just, still, nail it, then scale it, right? We've got to have our foundation in place from a business process perspective, and then use AI to help us accelerate it. It's not something that's going to change fundamentally, all of the key foundations of our business.
Yeah. And I think that's something I've seen is that wave, that pressure that people are feeling. It can feel like it's going to overtake you, and it can make you feel an intense amount of urgency.
Right.
And sometimes when you feel that amount of urgency and pressure, you do things that you wouldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. You jump when you normally would have paused and said, okay, let's do this intentionally. Let's think about it. Let's go through our regular process and make sure that we're doing this correct.
Right.
But because it's exponentially growing, and every day it's something new, and it's growing all the time, and it, like you said, it exponentially speeds things up.
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, it makes people feel more and more pressure. And so more and more executives are feeling like, well, we just have to go. We don't have time to look, and we just leap. We just go. We just jump. We just do it.
Right.
But that's
because
not
they're worried
good.
about their competitors, right?
Yes.
They're like, oh, we're going to fall behind.
Yes.
But no.
But then, to the point, Gartner's like 85% it's not happening. Like, it's not working. So your competitors might be jumping,
right,
but they're not having success with it yet.
That's right.
And so the people who are pausing, taking a breath, saying, let's go through the motions that we normally would go through as a business executive and think about it, and then be intentional about our use of it, and then be really exact with our measuring of what we're getting out of that.
Right.
And then doubling down on bright spots that we're seeing in our organization that are good and that are adding value. They're seeing the exponential growth.
That's right.
Right. So,
so slow is fast in this case, right? Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and there is that pressure. It's just you're
huge.
You're hearing it. The problem is the pressure is coming from all of the hype.
Yes.
Right? It's not real.
Yeah. It's people talking about it.
Right.
It's making you feel this urgency.
Yeah, it's CEOs going to lunch together and talking about, oh, we're doing AI, we're doing this, we're doing that, and this is what we're doing. And then, they haven't got to the point yet where they realize that their AI wasn't looking at the right data yet, or it's not right. They haven't gotten to that point. And so, you walk away thinking, oh, well, they're going down this path. We're late. We've got to go get this done.
Yeah.
But, just slow down like you would any other business decision, right? Just take the time to look at it, understand what the business problem is you're trying to solve. And then again, the data, right? You have to make sure you have the right data, and that the data is clean, and that you're pointing your AI solution at the right data set to be able to give you the answers that you want.
Yeah. Well, and that even the looking at your data correctly that's a process anyway. And sometimes just doing that, you realize you have some problems you need to fix in your data anyway, right? Like, so there, and that might take time. And again, you should take that time. because it might uncover some things you haven't been paying attention to anyway. And those are good things. And we've experienced that. We've had clients experience that where you're like, actually, I want to clean this up. And why are we tracking it here and here and here? We shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And you got to fix all of that, make sure that's clean and good, and then move forward with implementation.
Yeah. Years ago, I saw, and so that this stat is going to be a little bit dated. But again, AI just accelerates these things, right? So even before AI, when we were just talking about dashboards and executive reporting, there was a study done where this entity went to the individuals, the data engineers, and they said, how confident are you in the data, like the analysis that you're doing? You have a certain amount of data, you're performing some analysis, you're creating some dashboards. How confident are you in that data? And they said, in this particular case, I'm not saying this is a general statistic, just in this one case that they talked about, well, those individuals were like, well, probably 30%, 40% is, that we don't have all the information we need. This is the best we can do, right? So 30, 40% is where we are. And they handed those reports to the executives. And then they went and they asked the executives, how confident are you in that data? And they said, like 80, 85%. And it's the same information.
Yes.
It's just the people closest to the information recognize that we don't have all the data.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we can. We're making some assumptions. The executives just have faith that, this is it.
This is real.
And again, AI is simply going to accelerate that in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have the machine bias kicking in. It came from an AI, it must be right.
Yeah.
But if you don't have all the data, some assumptions have to be made. And maybe the AI solution can make some better assumptions than humans. That's certainly what AI is designed for.
Yeah.
But they're still assumptions.
Yeah.
Right?
And then executives are making big decisions
Business
based
decisions.
off of that, which could be, and oftentimes are incorrect data.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
That's a crazy world.
It is. And you're not going to get, ROI if you're making, right. There's a saying that I heard, I can't take credit for this one, but I love it. Good decisions made on bad data are just bad decisions we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
And I think AI, again, accelerates that. Right?
Yeah. And then I think what we've heard a lot is organizations that have had a bad experience with that, they throw all of it out like, well, we're not doing AI now.
Right.
Because it just was a disaster. And it wasn't the AI. It wasn't. It was them putting bad information in. And so you've thrown out this amazing tool that could really help because you didn't understand going into it that you were feeding it incorrect information.
It's Cantor's law, right? That every project, right, looks like failure in the middle. But you just push through, just tweak a little bit, get the data cleaned up and keep going. You don't just throw it away and say, this is wrong, you have to stop. You figure out, well, how do we get the right data? How do we get where do we tweak this? Right? Yeah. You don't want to, pull defeat from the jaws of victory when you're trying to implement AI. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of the other issues that I think we're seeing a lot of is kind of a DIY trap that AI is creating. We've talked to a lot of organizations that are like, well, I have these great tools like Replit, and I can code, I can vibe code, I can do all of this on my own. Why in the world would I want to use a developer for that when I'm the new developer, which is great. But, it was Stack Overflow and GitHub were showing a massive growth in AI assisted coding, but also issues with maintainability. And debugging. And I think it was Harvard Business Review just said the speed of prototyping has increased, but long-term system reliability has decreased. Yep. And so we're seeing huge issues with that. Companies coming back to us saying, well, we kind of doubled down on we don't need that. We don't need to have developers looking at this or DevOps or any of that. Yeah. And they just go into this vibe code, which is so great. I mean, I love that we have these abilities now.
Yep.
But there's a huge issue with not only doing it yourself and not understanding what that truly means, and also to your point about tech debt, the tech debt that can come from that. So what are your thoughts about those DIY vibe coding, AI, replit usage?
Yeah. It's again, I think it's a great tool. I think there's a lot of very positive use that we can get from that. I love rapid prototyping. I've always liked rapid prototyping. But again, this is not a new problem. How many times in the past have we seen, a prototype get thrown together, an executive looks at it and says, yeah, ship it.
Yeah.
No. We can't ship that, right? That's not tied into real data. It's not, it's just but we're again, AI accelerates that. Now we have the ability, anybody has the ability to rapid prototype, and it can actually be functional.
Yeah.
It can actually connect into real data. In fact, my son is he's a chiropractor, not a computer guy. And I went to his office the other day, and he said, "Hey, Dad, let me show you something." And I went over to his computer, and he said, "Look, here's my new website, and here's all this stuff. And look, this, I do this, and it clicks it." And he had, Claude code just build it for him, and it's a very functional, usable. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Something you would have needed a developer to do before. And for him, that's great. I think for that situation, it works. It works fine, right? The challenge is they're twofold. One, that when AI is very good at building initial versions of things, it's very good at getting something that's functional, even better than a prototype. It's an actual functional product, but AI doesn't build things that scale well, right? And so putting something out into an enterprise that was built with AI, you start to get a lot of users on it. You start to try to scale it through your organization, and it's going to start to fail. Mm-hmm. And so that's where, and maybe AI will get better at that, but right now, that's one of the challenges. It doesn't build for scale.
Yeah.
The other, I think you mentioned it already, which is it creates tech debt. And the reason that it does that is because it's not building things necessarily for maintainability. It's building them to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes the code can be overly complex. Sometimes, it's hard enough when you have human developers who don't comment their code, right? Who
what?
decide,
that never happened.
Right? No, developers love to comment. What are we talking about? Yeah. And so it's hard enough when you have a human being who wrote something that somebody else has to maintain, and that person leaves the company. You still have this challenge of, wait, what were they thinking here? Why did they do this? And AI is going to do that, and you're not going to be able to go back and really clearly see, well, this is why this was written this way.
Yeah.
Right? I was talking to someone just the other day who had that problem. They said they built this beautiful system with AI, and then when it came time to go and make a small adjustment, add a new feature, the human developer was looking at it going, I don't have any idea how to put this in.
Yeah.
And so the maintainability becomes a challenge. And again, that's just that you're just building tech debt into your solution because you're not commenting it, you're not documenting it, you're not explaining this is why. And so it makes it hard to maintain going forward.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the challenges that people are running into today with kind of the vibe coding, conundrum.
Yeah. Again, amazing tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Incredible. Can build something very, very quickly that is
sure.
usable. I mean, I'm amazed at the usability of things you can create very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's incredible that how many organizations are just adopting that without question, without thought, and then they implement things into their organization and have massive problems. And then what saved you money initially ends up costing you more money in the long run, because you've got to go back and fix things that have broken systems because they're not hooking up to other things correctly.
Yeah.
Where
That's
if,
right.
if it's something that is an enterprise application, right? This is not a website, hey, I need somebody to be able to sign up or, book online or something like that. That this is a big application we're talking about. Making sure upfront, like we've been talking about this whole time, let's get DevOps in here. Let's get a senior architect engineer and say, this is what we're trying to do.
Right.
What are our blind spots? What do we need to look out for as we're doing this? Get some people in the room that have the experience and the expertise to make sure that we begin the correct way if we're going to go that route with a feature on an application or something that we're trying to create, so that it is done correctly and not we've made a bigger mess. Just that pause before.
That's right. When you're thinking about all the data connections, all of the information that has to flow between systems, again, just all of the fundamentals, the security around that data, the transformation of the data elements. AI, your AI solution is only going to be, I don't want to use the word thinking, but
I know
it's only going to be considering what you tell it. And if you, as the individual that's asking the AI to do something, if you are not thinking about all of these other data connections, where's the data coming from? What are we doing with that data? How does it go back? What are we transforming it? What data needs to be secure? Then the AI is not going to take care of that, right? And so, again, from my perspective, if we are utilizing this vibe coding to say we're going to get rid of some developers because this is going to do it for us now, then you're approaching it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Vibe coding is great in that developers can give you something much faster than they could before.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a replacement for people. It's a way to augment what they do. It's a way to accelerate the output that they provide.
Yes, 100%. It's like the bicycle when it was invented, right? Like we used to walk everywhere and that got us to the place, but it was much slower. But the person still pedals the bike, right? And they get in and they pedal, but they're much faster and can get there much quicker. So I think when I think about my AI usage and how we use it in our organization, I think of it like that. This is me using the tool. I'm riding the bike. I'm the one in charge of what's happening here, and I can get there so much faster. But you still need a person riding the bike. You can't let the bike ride itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it will go somewhere you don't want it to go, right? Like it's just not what we want to do. That human-centered approach to AI is so important that because a human's going to stop and think about this over here that they know is coming, that we haven't told the AI, right? Because it's only as good as the information I'm putting into it.
Yeah, that's right. And again, I just keep going back to these are problems that we've had forever. This AI is not bringing these problems; it's just exposing them more. Because you think back just a few years ago to when SaaS solutions were coming into play, right? And all of a sudden, your marketing guy, your finance gal, your whomever, right, would say, "Oh, I don't need IT anymore. I can just take this SaaS solution and away we go," right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you get to, oh, wait a minute, I need this information over here. And wait, I need employees to be provisioned. And so all of a sudden you realize, wait, we actually do need some people who are knowledgeable about cybersecurity and how data flows in our organization and where the sources of data are. It's the same thing today. Vibe coding is exactly the same. Right? People who don't understand the details of their data, their single sources of truth, their cybersecurity, all of those things can just build something and think, oh, I don't need IT.
Yeah.
I can just do it. But the reality is you still have to understand all of these elements that your data engineers know, your DevOps people know, your developers know. And so, again, looking at this as a solution to get rid of people, I think is the wrong approach.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and you just touched on a little bit, I think one of this, for me, a scary space in the market are companies that view themselves as non-technical companies.
Yeah.
Because they're also trying to enter this space of AI usage, but they don't view themselves, tech companies, they understand our data and they have developers there, but there are a lot of companies who they don't have a technology department. They may not have a CTO or a CIO.
Right.
And they're looking at all of this, like this could help accelerate things that we do in our business. So we'll just implement things, but they have no knowledge base coming from tech in any way. And they're entering a space that they've never been in. And I think that's frightening for them and a higher risk for not only no ROI, but huge, massive problems. So
yes,
for a company
for
like
sure.
that, what would you say is the first step for them when they view themselves that way and they're trying to utilize, almost being forced by the market to get on board with some of this stuff? Well, what should their first steps be?
Yeah, first of all, I'll just, before answering the question, this analogy came to mind as you were talking that I hadn't thought of before, but it's like, this somebody who knows how to drive a car, right? So these companies that are non-technical and they know how to do their thing and they can use enough technology to get their business going. So they know how to drive a car.
Yeah.
And AI has taken the car controls and put them into an airplane. And so, I can fly an airplane now,
yeah.
right? But you can't. You might know that this is now a steering wheel as opposed to, the flaps and all that, right? But no, it's not the same. And so I don't know, maybe that's a stupid analogy, but that's what popped into my head as you were talking. I'm like, you can't just vibe code and implement an AI agent and all of a sudden say that, okay, we don't need a tech team because we can do this now.
Yes.
It's not safe. It's not, you're going to get yourself into trouble. So to answer the question, I think it's the same question whether you're talking about AI or not.
Yeah.
Companies who don't have a CIO or a CTO, companies who don't have a tech team, you have to find a partner that can help you. Get a fractional CTO, get an MSP, right? Come to STG, mm-hmm. right? Whoever it might be, you have to have that expertise. You need, and because technology is becoming so ubiquitous, there's no such thing as a non-technical company anymore.
There's not.
If you don't have technology expertise, you need to get that somewhere. And maybe you don't need to hire full-time employees. Maybe, when you're small enough, you can still operate without having that, but you have to have that expertise somewhere.
Yeah.
So get a partner, get a fractional, get an MSP that you trust, right? You have to have that expertise. Don't just jump into the airplane and think you can fly it.
Yeah. I think, and there's some great examples of companies like that. I think Crumble's one of them. I think there was one podcast that they were talking to someone, an executive, and they said, we're not a cookie company, we're a technology company that does cookies.
Yeah.
And so it was, but they very rightly viewed that in that technology is woven into everything and part of the success of how they've been able to grow the way they have. And I think every company is a technology company in the world we have today.
It's true.
And so they need to view themselves like we might sell sprinklers or we might, do farm equipment, but we're a technology company and that's going to drive your business. And however you get the expertise and the knowledge to help you with that technology piece, you need to go and get some advice and help, which is, I think, crucial for those companies because that can be really scary for people that have never really been in or thought of themselves in that way to try to jump into this space.
Yeah, for sure. It's an expertise that is still needed. AI is not going to give you that expertise. You still have to know, to your point earlier, the way that you craft a prompt just for generative AI. Yeah. We're not even talking about agentic AI, just for generative AI, you have to know how to ask the question. Yeah. You have to know how to craft the prompt. And so you have to have technology expertise at your disposal, whether it's full-time employees or whether it's a partner or a fractional employee. You have to have access to that expertise.
Yeah, that human-centered thing, and the knowledge. To me, I feel like knowledge and expertise and experience in this industry is going to become more valuable. A lot of people are freaking out that people are going to, not be needed anymore in this. Right. But I think it's almost the opposite of people that understand and they know enough about the industry, about technology, to ask good questions and to use AI in a thoughtful way are going to be the most needed. I know there's been a lot of research lately about Gen Z and some of the inability to ask good questions into that because they didn't grow up in, I'll date myself, but I had to go to the library and find a book and open it up and copy the information down.
Go and look up the cards to figure out where the
use
book
the
is.
Dewey Decimal System.
Yep.
This is how I grew up.
Yep.
But I knew how to search for information. So when Google came around in my lifetime, I feel old thing. But when it did, I knew how to ask questions of Google.
Right.
I know how to get exactly what I want out of that.
Yeah.
The rising generation is having a more difficult time with that because information is fed to them.
Yeah.
And they're not as adept at I need to prompt the critical thinking and the prompting of it and the asking of a good question. So I think for them, learning how to do that is going to be key for them. But for those people that have been in industries for a really long time and have that ability to critical think but use all of the knowledge that they've acquired over their lifetime is crucial into asking and giving prompts and being that human center of AI. I think that's going to be a crucial thing.
Yeah, for sure. And again, two thoughts came to mind as you were talking there. The one is, I tell my team over and over and over that there is no such thing as IT and the business. Don't ever talk about the business because we are the business. Yeah. We're part of it. And the comments that you're making right now just exemplify that fact that as AI becomes more and more impactful, it just means that not only do the non-technical people in the organization get to utilize technology in ways they haven't before, but it also means that the technology folks have to understand the engine that drives their business.
Yeah.
They can't just focus anymore on, well, this is our database and I'm going to be a server guy and that's all I'm going to do. They have to understand the business that they're supporting because that's where the value is going to come from. That's where they're going to be able to drive value. And so as they're implementing AI to help them do that, they have to understand what is the engine that we're trying to feed here? How does this company make money? And so that's super critical. Then the other thought that came to mind was this old, and this is from years ago again, long before AI. But you're talking about Google, right? When Google came out, people could ask questions and stuff. There was this I don't remember if it was a study, if it was just I don't remember what it was, but there were someone that asked these people just coming into the workforce, critical thinking question, right? Like, how would you determine how many windows there are in a 2 square block area of New York City or something like that, right? And their answer was, I'd ask Google. Oh. And so okay, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, that's it. Okay, what if you didn't have access to Google?
Yeah.
Like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean I didn't have access? Like I'd find out how to get access to Google.
Yep.
Like no. What if you couldn't ask Google? And now, what if you can't ask an AI? How would you answer this question? And literally, this younger generation, they literally could not think of a way to try to formulate
Yeah.
a process for answering that question. Like, well, I don't have any idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this critical thinking. Well, are you talking about car windows? Are you talking about buildings? And how many stories? They couldn't even process any of that.
Yeah.
And that is challenging. And again, I think AI only makes that worse.
Yes.
We have to understand how to think about the solutions in order to ask AI to help us with those solutions.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that's being lost today.
Yeah. It's dying a little bit. So to the rising generation, get some critical thinking
Right,
skills.
right.
Like ask yourself that question all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if I couldn't do this? I couldn't
Right.
use Google. I couldn't use AI. How would I solve this problem? And then to organizations, lean into those critical thinking skills. Use them. And that's important. AI, again, is not the oracle. We are using it as it's a tool.
It's a tool. That's right.
And you need to have the smart people using a great tool is going to get amazing results.
It should be a tool in your toolbox.
Yes.
Not the tool.
The tool.
Right? It's
Yes.
not, for he that's good with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? You have to have the right tool for the right solution.
Yeah.
And again, the critical thinking is not necessarily about coming to the right answer.
Yes.
It's about how do we think about getting to the answer?
Yeah.
What data do we need in order to get to the answer?
Yeah.
Because that's only going to help you then formulate your request of AI better.
Yeah. It's asking good questions.
Yeah.
Curious people and,
Yes.
are good things
That's right.
in organizations.
Yeah, that's right.
So what would you say, as we kind of tie things up here,
Sure.
your advice to leaders of organizations right now? What's the best thing they can do right now, Monday morning, if they're wanting to either start something, see if they can figure out the ROI, if something's already going, if they're already trying to implement AI, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
I would think if someone's listening to this podcast, if they were just to take away one thing from this entire discussion, for me it would be slow is fast. Just don't get wrapped up in the hype. Don't be too concerned about what your competitors are doing with AI. Just step back, take a breath, and approach this like you would anything else. You've done this before, right? Before AI, you were solving problems, you were figuring out your strategy, and then figuring out how to get the resources applied to the strategy. Do the same thing, right? That's what you're good at. That's what your company does. That's why you're in the CEO role or the CTO role or whatever role you're in. Just take a breath.
Yeah.
Slow down and make sure you're solving business problems.
That's perfect. Thank you so much,
deal.
Ken, for coming and talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having
appreciate
me. Yeah, it's always fun. Love it.